It is the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast for the PGA Championship at Aronimink this week. Let's have a banger. As always, the show is brought to you by DraftKings. Please use code FGD when signing up for the first time. We'd really appreciate it. We'll just make the show come back to you guys next year. If you don't do that, the show is shutting down. They've told us it's happening. It's never coming back to you. That's the way it's going over here. So please use code FGD when signing up and be sure to make sure that you comment below who's going to win this week. The first person to do that will be getting a free month into the Model Maniac Patreon, and I'll be showing you all of that stuff for this week's PGA Championship shortly. As always, we are joined by everybody's favorite Korean American, Kenny Kim. What's cooking, my brother?
Yeah, brother, I'm ready. I'm ready finally. No more of these bullshit fucking no cut, sorry ass fucking events anymore. Give me a real golf event that I can get pumped up for, that has a cut on Friday, that I can enjoy, that I can sweat. Let's get it going. Finally, let's get it done for this week.
You know, it's funny, Kenny, because the PGA Championship typically doesn't get my juices going, but just shoving the Zurich and 3 signature events down our throat for the last month has got me rock hard for the PGA Championship this week.
Yeah,
so I'm like
humongous stiffy right now just for a cut. I mean, come on, roll out. You got to see this now, right? There's got to be a cut in these events. These events that we've seen the last 3 weeks with the best players in the world have zero juice. None whatsoever, right? You know, make these guys earn it. Have a cut. Have them play well. We don't want guys out here going like an Adam Scott, being like dead last and then coming up and finishing third on Sunday. Yeah. You want 4 good rounds. You want good golf, right? All 4 rounds to actually earn that W, to get that real tour win. These signature events, I hate them now. They're bullshit. Get rid of them. Throw them into the fucking sun. All right? Give me events like the PGA Championship. Give me events with a cut, something we could sweat and watch Friday afternoon. I mean, the PGA Tour was even trying to get that more involved in their tour coverage, right? Like when they're doing these shows, Golf Channel on Friday afternoons, started showing people on the cut line. It made it more interesting. Okay, let's get back to that. All right. I'm done with these no-cut events. Finish, even though I succeed in them monetarily, right? Not this week in cash, at least not yet. We're recording this Sunday morning. It's 9 a.m. Sunday morning. It's probably why I'm a little bit hyped, because I've had my coffee, my 3 cups of coffee right here. And the way I make my coffee, like it would make an Italian blush. Okay? That shit is fucking strong. And that's the way I like to go. It's the morning. Let's get going. Let's talk about golf. I can't fucking win.
Do we record all of our shows in the morning now because of this energy?
That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. As I've gotten older, okay, you know, I used to be not a morning person, like not even awake in the morning type person, unless I was still up from the night before. Okay. All right. That's how I used to roll. Okay. Now that I've gotten older, I'm not getting hemmed up every weekend, right? It's nice to get up at like 5:30 in the morning on Saturday, smoke a cigarette while the sun's coming up with your dog next to you on the fucking patio. That's like that, and then taking the dog out for a walk. It's like the highlight of my day. I'm fucking old, but it's okay. It's okay to get old. You can get old and it'll be fine. But I don't know where I'm going with this. We need to talk about golf. Let's talk about this week here a little bit. You know, it is Sunday morning. We don't know who's winning the truest quite yet. We have Alex with Chatford. What a fucking run by this gentleman right here. If he comes in and gets it done, it's going to be tough with Cam Young chasing him, right? Because Cam looks like the fucking Terminator out there on the golf. No emotion. Just like serial killer vibes. Like Patrick Cantley, but likable, basically, is what Cam has become. Straight up Dexter Morgan on the golf course every fucking time he goes out to play. It is incredible stuff to watch. You know, we got Rattan up there. on the leaderboard. I have some GPP hopes and dreams. I am currently 21st in the $55 up and down. Winner gets 20 grand. The lineup actually is Fleetwood, JT, Spawn, Rattan, Oberg, and Small. So that is the lineup. It was actually a lineup that I added, made a 5th GPP lineup for, and I think I'm going to start doing this again because what that lineup was, it was the game theory lineup. Basically, if you remember last week, I said Fleetwood might be the lowest owned up top, right? And I think he was. In the $55, he's like 9% owned, right? He's up there, top 7 in the field. My hustler play of the week, Justin Thomas last week, was in there. Now, he was a little bit more owned than I expected. I thought maybe 8 to 12. He's around 14%. But still, so I'm going to start making that lineup. As the 5th lineup, the game theory lineup. We'll see how it goes. It's working this week. Cash sucked this week. Betting card wise, I have a chance at Spawn for a place. Maybe he could do something. I think he's 5 back going into today. I have Nick Taylor a couple strokes out of place, and we'll see what Oberg does at 17th. He's a 3-way, 3-place each way. It's going to be tough for him to make that comeback. But I mean, here's the thing: chasing.
Oberg's
this might
baby.
be the way, right? We've already seen some low scores out there. Matt Hughes is like 4 or 5 under after 6. Right. So maybe we get the Oberg win that way. We shall see. But Rory playing like dog shit. A lot of guys out here not playing well leading up to next week. What do you think about what we've seen so far?
Kenny, I'm actually going to share the screen here from a little piece I made for round 3 showdown. Here's Rory McIlroy. He's got a bit of the Saturday scaries, in my opinion. For some weird reason, it's been over a year. It was since the PGA Pebble Beach last year and the Masters, where he's actually gained over 5 strokes on a Saturday. Other than that, he's only got the Genesis Scottish Open, the Open Championship, and the Houston Open. In the last 16 months, those are the 3 additional rounds that he's gained over 3 strokes on the field. He's more likely to lose strokes on a Saturday than to gain over 3 strokes on a Saturday. Rory McIlroy. Whatever he's doing on a Friday night, he needs to change completely. I don't know what the deal is. It was one of his worst rounds on a Saturday at Quail Hollow, and it's been the putter. He has just been pathetic with the putter over the last little while. I think the last time he gained over a stroke putting was at the Open Championship last year on a Saturday. So it's just like he's just in meltdown mode on Saturdays, but he's going to bounce back on Sunday. I'm almost certain of it because that's what he does. So for some weird reason, he won the Masters this year, I think losing a fraction of a stroke on Saturday as well. Like, this is just what he gets up to now. So I don't know what his deal is. Perfect golf course. He was looking great. Ball striking the living piss out of it. Can't putt. So we'll see if that flips at Aronimink this week. So I don't know. Rory's interesting. What's your take, Kenny?
It's his first event back in a month. I give him a pass. I'm not worried about it. I'm sure he's going to be ready for next week. Rory's changed into I think, sort of like a Tiger effect where really all he cares about are these majors. And I think that's, if his game is in tune the first couple of days, okay, he'll probably try and go out and get the win. If not, he's going to be working on what he needs to work on for next week. I think that's what he's doing. And so I'm not worried about Rory next week. I don't know if I want to play him. But I'm not worried about him if you do want to play Rory next week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We've got a 5K range. It's awesome. It's a golf course that the last time they played a major was when Gary Player won back in 1970 something. So shout out GP. We'll hear a lot about Gary Player this week. Do you see him like dominating at the Legends of Folds of Flags of past champions? A couple days ago, there was highlights on the PGA Tour champions of Gary Player sinking 20-foot putts and bombing it onto the green from 170 yards to stiff. But he's got it still. I'm just ramped up, Kenny. I'm ramped up. Let's get going. Yeah, let's get going.
Let's talk about a couple of things that happened this past week. I guess the biggest stories is, of course, Bryson, right? Bryson coming out, and his first comments, he basically was trying, to me, it sounded like he was trying to leverage his popularity as part of a negotiating aspect of him getting back onto tour. It made him sound narcissistic. Everything he said probably could have been true, right? He was talking about how, even the PGA Tour has been struggling. They're laying people off, but no one's talking about it because they have support of the media and stuff like that. And he says, I think they need me, basically, is what he said on the tour. Look at what I bring to everything, right? Okay, here's the thing. That could be 100% true.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Not the way to go about it, bro. Like that. Here's the thing. I like Bryson. I want him to come back. I want to see Bryson play against the best week in and week out. I want him back. I want him to come back as easily as possible. Saying shit like that is not going to make it easier, right? I mean, he's already part of the people that sued the PGA Tour, and there's already talk that those people are going to get a tougher treatment coming back. Okay? Why would you make it more difficult for yourself? Now, it seemed like his PR people talked to him, and the next day, Garrett Johnson, great interviewer, great writer, local guy here in the DMV, used to write for Golf Digest. I think he's with Scratch now. A really, really good journalist, level-headed, even keel, no bias type journalist. Go follow him, Garrett Johnson on X. Go follow him if you want like info that's not going to be skewed. Okay, he just goes out and does his thing. All right. He interviewed Bryson the next day, and Bryson said the correct things that time. It's like the PR people got to him, right? It's saying, okay, yes. Basically, he says he's worried that, if the people on the tour he has to earn the hearts and minds of the people on tour, basically, is what he said. And that's what he should have said in the beginning, right? he should have just catered to that. But instead, his ego got in the way, and it's going to make it more difficult for him. He needed to take a page from Brooks Koepka. The humbleness, the contriteness that we've seen from Koepka, who's normally you think is a pretty ego fucking driven guy as well, right? Okay. He's humbled himself. He knows that he's going to these signature events as a second, third alternate, waiting, saying the right things, making jokes about it. When they say, oh, it looks like you're not going to play out. Looks like it's a practice day for me. Get my grind on, right? Like, he's doing everything correctly, and no one has a problem with him the way he came back, even though it was pretty fucking lenient, right? If you think about it.
All things considered.
For everything. It was very, very, very lenient for a guy who left, okay? And that's where Bryson should be going. I know Bryson's a very divisive guy, but that's what we need. That's what we want on tour. I want him back as soon as possible. And if he keeps putting his fucking foot in his mouth, it's going to be a problem, and it's going to make it harder for him. You need to shut the fuck up, say the right things, and okay, yes, maybe he could do the YouTube shit or whatever tour will take me. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Think, talk to people before you speak. Now,
it's like his council of decision makers is just a bunch of bros in tank tops.
No, I think decision makers are smart. I think he just doesn't talk to them. He doesn't use their information sometimes. And he doesn't say the things that he should be saying. Because it sounded like they got to him the next day. Because the next day, he said the right shit. Right? Just keep listening to your fucking people and don't go off the cuff.
Yeah, and even Garrett in that interview, he helped guide Bryson to potential promised land, because Bryson was trying to say that the PGA Tour doesn't allow YouTube content, blah, 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 blah. And then I think Garrett hit him with like some hard truths about the actual policy that he like literally quoted to him. And like the fact that Bryson is saying, I'm just going to do the YouTube thing all on my own because the PGA Tour won't let me create as much content as I want because good guys can't come out to the PGA and like film and stuff. It's Garrett hit him like with the hard truth, man. Like he's just like a bull in the china shop, and he's fluxing between being like this folk hero that we saw at the US Open at what's that golf course called where he won at, like 2 years ago, and this bullshit. Like, I recently saw that video of him comparing Liv to the pizza store that just hands out free pizzas, and then at the end of it he says, "What's wrong with that business model?" And then like 3 or 4 years later, the fucking pizza people are stop handing out free pizzas because there's no more money. And now he's sitting with his dick in his hand like a complete idiot. And Scott O'Neill saying, I can't wait to get into business with Bryson DeChambeau, who just wants to hand out free pizzas to everybody. So he needs to get it figured out. He needs to find his lane. His lane is not financial negotiating or any sort of business outlook. You're an entertainer. You're a Hollywood hero. Be that guy, Find your way into the hearts of people, not trying to weasel your way in as this juggernaut monopolist. I don't know what his deal is. So shut the fuck up, Bryson.
I think one thing that was crazy with the timing was the PGA changing the social media rules the next day to his favor.
Yeah.
In his favor. Like, that was sort of shocking.
Yeah.
To me. I don't know what the PGA was trying to say by doing that literally the next day after he spoke about that. Maybe
like
Bryson
caving.
is right.
Caving. Oh, yes, Daddy Bryson. Yes, bring us the views. Like,
I
come on.
don't know. That was very, very strange to me. But we'll see where that goes. And a lot of talk has happened this past week where, guys in Live now realize that it's probably over. Right. Yeah. And of course, Anibal Lahiri says, he doesn't want to go back to the PGA Tour. Right. And look, and Anibal, he was a life grinder. Dude was playing like Asian Tour grinding, DP World Tour grinding. Then he finally made it to the Tour grinding, highest ranking Indian ever type grinding. Then he got the bag and went to Live. Okay. Like, it's not like he just got it. He worked his ass off to get that fucking money from Live. Okay. And so he doesn't want to come back fine. I mean, like, his talent level is not something that the PGA Tour is going to fucking miss. Really.
No.
But I get where he's coming from. What? I loved Rory's comments. Rory, when asked about this yesterday, it was a pretty even keel answer until the end, when they was talking about people who didn't want to come back to the PGA Tour. And Rory basically said, the PGA Tour is the best competition in the world. If you don't want to come back to the PGA Tour, that says something about you. I mean, that's basically his hit him up moment. He was basically Tupac. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, fuck Live as a staff, a record label, and as a motherfucking crew. If you're down with Live, fuck you too. Chino XL, fuck you too. Right? Basically, that's what he was doing. Right? All you motherfuckers die slow. My 4-4, make sure all your kids don't grow. You motherfuckers can't be us or see us. We motherfuckers songs are like West Side till we die. Right? That was his fucking hit him up moment. I mean, not really, because it's golf. But that's basically as close as you can get. That's basically as close as you can get to a hit him up type of moment. I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker type deal. Right? And I loved it. Like, I loved it. He's the face of the tour above Scotty. Scotty might be the best player, but Rory is the face of the tour. And him saying that, which is the complete fucking truth. I'm sorry. If you're a Live fan, okay, motherfuckers not lying. You can't. He's telling the truth. The PGA Tour is the best. If you don't want to come back, fine. But just know wherever you're going to play is not the best players in the world. It is the PGA Tour, even if they have these shitty fucking signature events. Change that shit.
John Rahm's still looking for his first major top 5 since going to Live.
Yeah.
Like,
Kudos to Rory. Kudos to Rory for saying that. Because he's been sort of on both sides ever since he left the whatever committee. He's been, pretty tame, pretty right down the middle. But he spoke the truth on that, and that was fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, and then went and shot, 4 over par the next day. So, sometimes you say things at the right time. Sometimes it matters more to have just said it. So shout out to Rory for doing that. You mentioned Brooks, Kenny, and I think, he's matured a little bit as a dad as well. Just having...
Well, also the tragedy. I mean, they had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
So that can definitely change a person, right?
Yeah. No, things are intense then. Just being responsible for another human really matures you and humbles you and puts everything into perspective. Also, shout out all the mothers out there. It's Mother's Day. Mrs. Maniac letting me record this at 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, this is like unheard of for me. So she's out with her mom doing her thing. I was up. If I looks like I woke up an hour ago, it was because I woke up an hour ago. I've been grinding Truest Showdown. I've been grinding Mother's Day collages and a nice little message from Piper to mom, written in Piper's language. And then PGA Championship data, like a lot of it. And I was up until 3 o'clock this morning. So we are going to be having a fantastic day after this. It's Mother's Day. As we record this, shout out all the moms. Mrs. Maniac, I love you. There's not a better mom out there. So you're a rock star.
To the 3 moms that listen to our show. Happy Mother's Day to all 3 of you. What'd you get your mom? What'd you get your moms?
I got her a big hanging basket. Huge big thing of flowers.
That sounds okay. It has flowers in. I was like, you got your motherfucking mom a basket?
No.
That
Not a laundry basket.
Oh,
no.
It sounds fucking horrible. Okay, a basket of flowers. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I can get that. Byron, what did you get your mom?
I'm just going to give her a call later, Kenny. That's how we always do it. Nothing too crazy. She's obviously 10,000 miles away. So
that's right.
Just a nice
What did you get your wife? I'm sorry then. What did you get your wife then?
I just put together like photos of Piper and her together over the last couple months and said, thank you for holding my hand when I need a hand held. Thank you for always putting me above everything else. And there's like a photo of them holding like her above her and just stupid, like
Not
cute little
stupid.
words that she
Handmade from the heart, Byron.
Stupid, cute little words.
Yes.
Stupid, cute little words that were going to make those photos that are in the collage, much more meaningful. And I kind of life hacked it because I went into the website where they give you the option to upload all your photos. And then I just took a screenshot of it. And because they're going to charge me $20 for that one. So I took a screenshot of it. I put it into ChatGPT, got the outlines taken away, and then resubmitted that photo for a $5 print. So I'll spend the other $15 on the frame. And off we go. So living luxuriously over here, the Maniac household, and shout out to ChatGPT for saving me $15. So living a good day, having a good day. Kenny, what's your tradition for your mom on Mother's Day?
Straight cash, homie. Straight cash. Gave my mom $500. That's what my mom likes. My mom, I get a lot of my shit from my mom. This is actually a picture of my mom. She's a big John Cena fan. So that would be her doing the "You Can't See Me."
Let's go.
Yeah, a big Cena fan. I get a lot of shit from my mom. I love her to death. She's the best mother in the world. She's a big fan of cash. So striped the Randy Moss straight cash.
10 units.
To my
10
mother.
units for mom on Mother's Day. Nothing
Should
wrong
have
with
just slipped her your cash game cornerstones early. Just like, Mom, you just...
Not this week. The fucked up thing about this week was I loved my cash line. Like I even posted it on Wednesday night. I was like, I love my cash lineup so much. I don't see how it can lose. I am extremely worried right now. Anytime I feel like that, I'm looking at this cash line. I'm like, there's no way this can lose. There's no
too good to be true.
Way. Dead last.
Yeah.
Almost dead last. I think I moved up to like 15th from last yesterday. So,
Yeah,
so,
not good.
so that's how I went. We're probably going to go 10 out of the last 15. Still 66%. Not bad. But we got that GPP, hope and dream. So we're going to try and move on with that. Anything else before we move on to the actual golf?
Me and my father-in-law are sweating Harris English to finish, to make the cut in all 4 majors as a Christmas gift. So if you ever need like a Father's Day ticket or something, you can try and find, I don't know, Father's Day is probably too soon, but Christmas is a perfect time to get your father-in-law or like male, maybe even a female friend. You know, we have some female listeners, as we've said, the 3 of you. Shout out to you guys. So maybe we have 4 this year, because I'll send Mrs. Maniac to the shout out of the Mother's Day part only, because the lead up to that was pretty rough. I won't lie. So Harris English, let's make some more cuts in the Masters and the majors, because me and my father-in-law
definitely going to be rated third.
Huh?
Yeah, it's going to be rated third. The last couple are probably a little tame, but that's because we were recording at like 8:30 at night and I was asleep. You get my coffee in me, you know, and the sun's still up. We're going to have good shows.
Yeah.
We're gonna have
anyone that's going straight from the last show into this one's fallen off their chair already, because the vibes are drastically different. So I'm ready, Kenny.
I'll
let's
be
go,
honest.
baby.
Last 2 shows, I was not on my game. Not on my game the last 2 shows.
It's okay.
But we're back.
It's all
I
good.
think a lot of it had to do with like the
Time.
You know, you get such a high, winning like 3 in a row and having a chance to win 5, and then having a couple weeks where it's just dead. Like that's like the downfall of gambling overall, right? Like when you enjoy a sport, but you get into it heavily in the gambling aspect, it can skew the way you watch and the way you feel when you watch. When technically you should just enjoy fucking watching beautiful golf on a Sunday, no matter who's winning, right?
Yeah.
That's not always the case nowadays, right? And so that has some stuff to do with it. You know, the shitty ass fucking signature events have something to do with it. And also starting late when I'm tired of shit. Like literally, I'm in bed by like 9:30.
No, it's all good, Kenny.
We're
up and about now. It's ready to rock and roll. And if you want to watch golf hating your life, use code FGD when signing up at DraftKings, because that's the best way to get additional funds into your account as a first-time depositor. So that would really help us. It would really help you hate your life even more, just like Kenny mentioned. And we'd really appreciate all of that. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, all of that stuff. Tell your aunts, tell your uncles, and even your grandmother, if you do have one of those lying around somewhere as well. Kenny, what else are we getting up to today?
Let's fucking go to the course. Let's go to the PGA Championship. Sound good? Let's talk about it. The best players in the world. They head to Newton Square, Pennsylvania, to play the PGA Championship from Aronimink Golf Club. Aronimink has hosted like a few events in the past. The most recent ones, 2010, 2011, AT&T National, were both at Aronimink. The BMW Championship was played there in 2018. In 2010, it played as the 4th toughest course on tour. 2011, it was the 12th toughest course on tour. I'm not sure how much we can read into those course years, just because 2 years before, right before the 2018 BMW Championship, Gil Hanse renovated the course. He changed many things. He wanted to bring back the original Donald Ross design, so he added a shit ton of bunkers, like 100 bunkers. Took out some trees, widened the fairways, enlarged the greens. The course looks very different for the BMW than it did when it played the National almost a decade earlier. The course also played way easier in 2018, but weather played a tremendous factor as there was a hurricane that year. There was actually a Monday finish. They had torrential rains. The course was very, very soft, played much, much easier. I think the winning score was around 20 under. I wasn't even in the top half of the most difficult courses on tour that year. I don't know how much we can like glean from what we've seen here the last 3 times. This course is going to be, much longer this week. The rough will be much thicker this week. There's been a drought in the mid-Atlantic the last month. So I expect firm and fast conditions. We'll see what the weather report brings. But even just a little bit of rain with the drought that we've been having, I mean, it's only about maybe 150 miles north of me, maybe not even that much, where I am here in Northern Virginia. And we are having some droughts right now. It looks like you're looking at the forecast. It looks like there's like a tiny bit of rain, 0.1.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of rain coming in. We'll see what happens, but I think even a little bit of rain, I think the course will still stay firm. If there's a deluge, that's a different story. Also, one thing about what we've seen a lot from even in these signature events and majors, there's like a sort of a set score that that most times they want to be in, right? Winning score, like around 12 under par, right? If this is going to be like super crazy crispy, I could see them watering. Because they don't want -2 to win. They don't want -4 to win, right? And with the thickness of this rough, and with the possibilities of it being exceptionally firm and fast, people might get angry next week because they might water these greens and stuff like that. We'll see. I'm just taking a guess here. It's Sunday morning. I have no clue. Carrie might want to go out there and make it a U.S. Open. So this is something that we're going to have to keep a track of it while we're, leading up to the week to truly see how the course is being played. Because I think the way the course is right now, they can set it up however the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not too soaked. It's not too wet. It's dry. They can manicure everything. They can water it exactly the way they want to water it. So that's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on as the week goes on, exactly how difficult they want to make this course. Now, the bets and the cash and cornerstones that I have, even the hustler play, I don't think that's going to change because of the difficulty, because the guys I picked, they normally play well on difficult courses, and it's a major. And even if it's hellish conditions or just hard, I'm not going to worry about that when it comes to the guys I've already picked. Okay. Now, let's see what we saw in 2011. I will give you an example. The first round was almost 2 strokes over par. The scoring average, and that's because it was really crispy out there. Definitely crispy. Okay. Saturday, there was a lot of rain, right? It played about a stroke under par on average. So, that's, 3-stroke difference from firm, fast, wet conditions when it was a non-major setup. Those back then, they set up courses harder too, right? I mean, you saw +4, +6 in regular events a few times a year. You don't really see that shit no more. Okay. Now let's get to now personally for me, the winning score. Again, we're going to have to pay attention this week to see how exactly they're going to set it up. I think the goal is to be around 12 under par. I think that's where the PGA wants it. I think that's where they want it. Around 12 under par is the winning score. And I think, that would be my guess this early in the week. But we shall see. Let's get to the meat of the course. Aronimink Golf Club. It could play anywhere between 73 and 7,400 yards, depending on where they put the tee boxes. It is a par 70, 2 par 5s, 4 par 3s. In previous years, the 2 par 5s were some of the easiest holes on the course. The par 5 ninth, well over 600 yards. For a lot of golfers, it's going to be a 3-stroke hole. Now, maybe more people will go for it if they hit the fairway, because I think it should be firm, should be fast. You're going to get a little bit of rollout. But again, that's also going to make the fairways more narrow, right? And there was an interview with the course superintendent a couple of weeks ago talking about how the rough is going to be lush, it's going to be thick, and I expect it to be over 3 inches. It would be my goal. I'm not really sure where they're setting it up, but I would think 3 to 4 inches for this rough. Now, the par 5 16th should be reachable by everyone. could lead to some shifts in the leaderboard late in the round. The par threes are lengthy, with 3 of them being over 200 yards. On average, the par fours are middle of the road in length, with one being under 400 yards and possibly drivable, depending on if they use the front tee. I think that's 14 or 15 on the back. 6 are between 450 and 490 yards. 4 are between 400 and 450 yards. And then though most of these shorter par fours have some type of dog leg to it. And now then you also have a super long par 4 15th, which stretches out to like 540 yards. Now off the tee, golfers are going to see average sized fairways with bunkers in the landing zones and heavy rough if the golfers miss the fairway. The course isn't overly long, so I would expect some to use less than driver off the tee, especially on the shorter par fours, so they could be more accurate and avoid the rough and fairway bunkers that I'm sure there will be some longer hitters who use driver a bit more than most. And like usual, their length could be an advantage if they hit fairways. Now, not sure how much of this technique will be used by long hitters due to the fairways actually being firm and fast, which of course shrinks the size of the fairways. From what the course superintendent has said on numerous interviews, it sounds like the rough around the fairways is going to be thick and tall. Fairways will be important. Throw in the fact that it should play firm and fast. This makes shorter drivers of the golf ball plenty live this week. Personally, I think this event is going to be one not off the tee. I think it's going to be one with approaches. On approaches, golfers are going to see large, heavily undulated, bent grass greens that should play firm and fairly quick, Stimpmeter rating of 11.5 or more. The expansion of the greens has led to many more diabolical pin locations back in 2018, though it really didn't matter back then because of how soft everything was. Now, if it's going to be dry, short game's going to be more important, with the firm conditions causing more mixed greens. The greens will be heavily guarded by bunkers, like around 200 bunkers on this course. So sand game, going to be important this week. Most of the greens slope heavily from back to front, so missing long will make up and downs much more difficult. What are you looking for in golfers this week, Byron?
Okay, I love that, Kenny. And you mentioned it's going to be one on approach this week. And I agree with you, but the way you win on approach is hitting your golf ball from controlled lies from the fairway, because the greens have these micro pockets on them where you have to hit a very, very specific area of the green. Otherwise, a swale can take your golf ball to another side of a ridge, which leaves 3-putt very much on the cards from like inside 30 feet.
Heavily undulated greens. Heavily.
Yes. So you need to be dialed in with your wedges in particular. There's the way this golf course works, Kenny, is I'm actually going to pull up some stuff that I showed while you've been going on. Yeah, I've been scrolling through the Discord with all my tidbits. When you mentioned they played you in 2011, the average driving distance on the PGA Tour was 291 yards. The average carry was 271. Now, 15 years later, we're hitting the golf ball 12 yards further on average with, 14 yards more carry than in 2011. So we see a lot of holes that I was kind of scrolling with here as we were going through. This is a 290-yard carry from the back of this tee box to carry these bunkers. And you'll see this on a lot of holes. These bunkers used to be in the places that like Gary Player would have nightmares about. Rory McIlroy's got zero problem carrying this bunker from any part of this tee box. So he gets to hit to a wider part of the fairway. At times, there's going to be 6 to 10 yards more fairway if you can clear the bunkers. And you mentioned there's 200 bunkers on this golf course. This isn't just one big bunker where your golf ball like rolls in here and you can have a perfect lie going up. There's 3 bunkers here. Your ball can roll up against the face of these bunkers quite easily. So you absolutely want to be sure that you're taking care of business when it comes to driving the golf ball past these bunkers yet. You know, like these little clusters of bunkers can really give you headaches. And I went through in the Model Maniac Patreon every single hole, and there's about 6 to 7, which of the 14 drives you have, where you can hit it 310 or beyond and clear these bunkers. So here are the longest drivers of the golf ball in this field, starting with Aldrich, Rory, Bryson, Jake Knapp, David Puig, Rasmus Højgaard, Nikolai Højgaard, Goddard, Gary, you know, all these big names. I've got some of their carry distances over here as well. Now, some of these distances, like 305 for Nikolai, that's on average. And you can see some guys like Chris Goddard hits it 1 or 2 yards shorter than Nikolai, but his carry distance is almost 10 yards shorter. So some guys hit it low, some guys hit it high. I'd imagine if Chris Goddard's trying to clear a bunker, he's going to rock one high. You know, like, so carry distance needs to be looked at in context. You know, driving distance, I think, matters a little. Like, you can look at them together. You know, I don't have carry distance for live, all of that stuff, but I think the road to success on a golf course like this can really come if you have distance off the tee. And you mentioned, Kenny, like, we're going to see potentially like easy score, very difficult scoring conditions if it plays hard and crispy. There's going to be guys that have like generational driving days, and they leave themselves with Rory McIlroy could have a wedge, which means from 150 yards and in to 9 greens this week. And if he's nuking a driver and finding those greens, you know, you are looking at somebody that can absolutely dismantle this golf course, because getting it close to those little small pockets on these greens is so much easier from 100 to 150. I'm showing you on the screen right now, strokes gained from 100 to 150. If you take a look here, the average drives on a golf course for the different buckets that we're going to see this week are, this is in the way for me. How do I move this? There we go. So from 200 plus, you can see 6 shots. From 150 to 200, 5. From 100 to 150, 5. And then inside 100, 2. If you're taking a look at Rory based off the micro model, he can have 9 shots inside 150, whereas Lucas Glover can have 12 shots outside of 150. So there's a beautiful balance between finding guys that have got good distance off the tee. They're going to need to lean into their wedges a little bit more. Guys that are going to have accuracy off the tee, they're going to have those like 150 to 200 shots a little bit more than everyone else. 3 of the 5 approach shots from 200 plus come from the fairway on par 3. So everybody's going to have to hit from that distance as well. So strokes gained from the fairway from 200 plus, very important. If you go over to the Model Maniac Patreon, I'll pull it up for you real quick. You can find those. I'll pull it up for us. 2 seconds. My bad. Here's the micro model, by the way. It kind of shows you every single hole that's played over here. I pulled it up while Kenny was doing his thing. This 15th hole, 546 yards, is a beast. It's almost the same yardage as the next par 5 on 16. So that's a little fun situation. But if you want to just take a look at strokes gained approach from the fairway from 200 plus, here are the best names in this field. It's Sepp Straka, Aldrich Potgieter, Austin Smotherman, Siwoo Kim, Rory McIlroy, and Rasmus Højgaard are your top 5 over there. John Rahm shows up at 9th, and Nikolai Højgaard top 10. If we're going to the BMW Championship, you can see who's played here last. Keegan Bradley and Justin Rose got themselves into a little playoff situation at minus 20. Everyone shot lower than 66 every single day there. So you never know how this course is going to play. But let's get over to the Maniac model over here and check some more boxes. So this week, we're looking at major finish rates as a predicament that a projector that we're looking for. I like to use strokes gained in majors as my main power ranking system. But because this golf course is super unique, it's a very interesting week. And I don't want to take too much time to this, but it's a very interesting week because in majors, I use the strokes gained approach from majors as my approach play metrics, because in majors, you're seeing most shots from 150 and beyond. This week, typical guys that thrive in strokes gained approach in majors might not, because there's a lot of wedges. You don't get to hit as many wedges into most major venues as you do get the opportunity to do this week. So I'm absolutely looking at very specific approach metrics this week that we're kind of using from all tournaments. So it's an important situation to remember that. Still, if you're looking for, I'm jumping around a bit, but there's a lot to discuss. So let's dive back into this over here. When we're taking a look at things that happen in majors, if I pull up the finishes in majors over the last little while, your best finish in a major prior to the win in PGA Championships, since 2018, only one person has won this thing that's finished outside of second place in a prior major. The 35th place in 2020, what was that? Colin Morikawa, right? In the middle of COVID. So no fans, none of that stuff. But he also, went on to win the Open Championship a little bit later, I think. So there's a lot to like. You want to make sure that you have a second place in majors. If you're taking a look at that, here are your guys that have a second place in majors from the last 5 years of majors, the last 21 majors that these guys have played. I'll rattle them off. I'm sorry, it's going to take a smidgen, but these are names that likely win this week. I know it's weird to say it that way, but yeah, guys with a second place in majors. Scotty, Rory, Brooks, Bryson, Rahm, Xander, Rose, Harris English, Hovland, Davis Riley, Colin Morikawa, JT, Matt Fitzpatrick, Jordan Spieth, Hideki Matsuyama, Jason Day, Cameron Young, Billy Horschel, Cameron Smith, JJ Spahn, Sepp Straka, Ludwig, Brian Harmon, Robert McIntyre, and Wyndham Clark. These guys all have at least a second place in the last 21 majors. These are guys that I will be betting. I don't be betting anybody else that doesn't have a second in majors. So that is my first criteria this week. Now we can get to the model. Now we can take a look at some boxes. I'm sorry, it's a long week, but it's a very, very important to get how this course is going to play and check the right boxes. So if we're taking a look at major finishes over the last little while, these are your guys that are balling out in majors. They've got wins, top 5s, and top 10s. You add those 3 together to get this finishing rate. Scotty, Rory, Rahm, Colin Morikawa, Xander, Bryson, Cameron Young, Matt Fitzpatrick, Justin Rose, and Cameron Smith. Let's ignore Cameron Smith. He's playing like absolute dog shit right now and throw Brooks Koepka in there instead. And honorable mention, Russell Henley. Then we're going to go over to health scoring, medium scoring, things like that. Guys that have played well in these conditions. We've obviously got some missing stats as the data comes in on Monday. I'll update some things with some more names and things like that. We've got a lot of randos playing this week, but guys that thrive in hellish conditions. Scotty, Ian Holt, Tyrrell Hatton, Rory McIlroy, Angel Horoya, Matt Fitzpatrick, John Rahm, Tommy Fleetwood, Sam Burns, Patrick Reed, Cameron Young, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth. Those are your names that thrive in hellish conditions if this course plays firm and crispy and hard as fuck. Then we're going to take a look at micro model. And this is what I'm going to rank heavily. I've got 45% of my weighting this week in the micro model stats. If we're taking a look at who's going to really thrive on this golf course, number 1 in the model is Colin Morikawa, because I'm using strokes gained putting on bent grass, which we can get into later, but Colin leads the field on bent putting, by the way, over the last, 16 months. In this field, based off of the approach play that comes from inside 150 and outside 200, how many times they're going to hit the fairways from the various distances, how often they're going to hit greens, all of that stuff. This projects that on a hole-by-hole basis. These are your best course fits for this week. Colin Morikawa, John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Cameron Young, Siwoo Kim, Xander Schauffele, Tommy Fleetwood, Matt Fitzpatrick, Ryan Gerard, and Jake Knapp. I understand that Scotty Scheffler's all the way down in 18th. I'm using strokes gained approach from 2026. If you put like the last 12 months worth of strokes gained approach, Scotty Scheffler's going to have a much better projection. He's like losing strokes to the field still in the field this week in 2026. So that's not ideal. I'm looking for golfers that are playing good golf right now. These are all a bunch of like Ryan Lenhan. Like, who the hell is that guy? He's obviously not going to be a factor this week at all. The best players in the last 4 months playing this week: Scheffler, Rahm, Young, McIlroy, Fitzpatrick, Matthew, Tommy Fleetwood, Xander, Colin Morikawa, Russell Henley. These are your guys that are balling out, making sure that you have good form coming into the week. I like to see what's going on there. Then we're going to take a look at just the overall model ranking this week. I'm making sure that we're keeping it nice and tidy. I'm going to leave strokes gained off the tee. I'll get that out of you actually going forward. But the top 10 model rankings for me this week, based off of all the various things we've spoken about already: Scheffler, McIlroy, Rahm, Cameron Young, Matt Fitzpatrick, Xander, Colin Morikawa, Siwoo Kim, Tommy Fleetwood, and Ludwig Oberg, with another honorable mention for Russell Henley sitting 11th. So, there's a lot going on this week. It's a very nuanced week with a very unique golf course. I'm fucking ramped up. I love the micro model rankings this week. Let's chat about some bets before yes.
So it sounds like what we're looking for this week, right, is if you hit it long, you got to hit your wedge as well. If you're shorter, you got to hit your mid irons well. That sounds like what, and if you're short, you definitely have to hit fairways.
Yes.
Right. You might be able to rough it, mash it out of the rough if you're hitting at 320 in the air. But if you're hitting at, 290 in the air and you're hitting it, a 165 club from the rough, it's not going to be good, right? So accuracy off the tee if you're short with good mid-iron play, if you can bomb it, be able to hit your wedge as well from the fairway and from the rough is what we're looking for this week. If it's exceptionally firm, maybe some around the green play is what we're looking for. So let's get to
two more things, Kenny. Sorry. When you're modeling, if you are using a generic model, not the micro model, because I don't have to run two different course fit models because it takes into account how accurate you are off the tee anyway. You need to run two different models based off of driving distance with like wedge play emphasized, like you mentioned, Kenny, and then run another model where driving accuracy and mid-iron play is emphasized, where, kind of like the micro model does on its own, but make sure that you can't run one model for this golf course. It's because you can attack this golf course in two different ways, like we've just spoken about, right? Like if you take a look at the leaderboards in the past, Webb Simpson, Justin Rose, guys that are like relatively accurate, precision-based options are guys that have success at this golf course. And then we are putting on bent grass, friends. We've been having Bermuda season on the East Coast. These are the best options on strokes gained putting on bent over the last couple, months, 16 months or so. There's 24 rounds of data. Rory McIlroy has only got 18, that kind of stuff. I have adjusted it if there's less than 24 rounds. So, Colin Morikawa, Brian Campbell, sneaky option this week, given the way the golf course plays. We'll see. Sam Burns is actually...
Don't do it.
If you're playing multi-entries, we'll get to that. Sam Burns, Max Homer, Akshay Bhatia, Harris English, Matt McCarty, they all gain over a stroke in the last 16 months on these greens. Tommy Fleetwood, Keegan Bradley on bench. He's an East Coast guy. Kurt Kitayama and Jason Day rounding out the top of the
I actually didn't know that. I actually didn't know that about Matt McCarty. He's a very big part of my overall week coming up this week. Makes me feel even better.
Let's go. Before we get into the bets this week, be sure to hear a quick word from our partners. Football season is right around the corner, and DraftKings is bringing you their biggest best ball contest ever. We're talking a massive $20 million in total prizes, making this the largest best ball tournament in DraftKings history. And right now, our partners at DraftKings are giving new DraftKings customers a can't-miss offer. Get 3 tickets to play best ball for free with your first deposit. That's right. Deposit once and score 3 shots at big cash prizes only on DraftKings. It's easy. Just draft your team once, no weekly management required, and let your top scorers automatically start each week. All season long, every breakout star, every clutch play, and every touchdown counts towards your shot to win big. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app and make your first deposit of $5 or more, and you'll score 3 tickets for your shot at massive cash prizes. That's 3 shots in DraftKings' biggest best ball contest ever without ever setting your lineup again. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most states. Restrictions apply. Non-withdrawable ticket rewards are site credits for NFL best ball contests only and expire 14 days after being issued. Terms, www.draftkings.com/promotions in 6/4/26 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, sponsored by DraftKings. All right, Kenny, hit us with the winner this week, baby. Let's get back on track. Let's cash some stuff.
All right, so I got 5 on it. I got 5 on it this week. It's going to be my betting segment. New name for the betting segment. So we're doing a hip hop theme this week. I got 5 on it. Betting segment for me. My my first bet. It's going to be Cam Young. 12-1 with 5 places. Okay. Now these guys, here's the thing about betting this week right now. It's Sunday. Usually the odds shift on Monday, and they usually get better. I have 3 bets today. And the reason I'm betting them is because all these guys are in contention going into the Truist or Myrtle, right? And so if they win, their numbers are going to go down. And so I don't want to take that risk. I'm going to take these numbers, bet them Saturday night at like 6 o'clock. Right now. So the first one's going to be Cam Young, 12-1 with 5 places. I do not expect this number to get better. I do not expect this number to get better. Pretty easy bet here, right? Playing the best golf of his life. Right? Seems supremely confident every time he steps on the course. He's got that swagger. He's got that swagger when he gets on the course. Like, it looks like, even though he's a very tame person, like, even just looking at him, it looks like he knows that he's the best out there. Right? Like, to me, like, when I'm watching him play, it's just, that's the vibe that he's giving off to me. His main weakness has been par 5 scoring. Only 2 of those bitches at Aronimink this week, right? Patrick Harrington, he once said that most great golfers have a 2 to 3 year window where they do the majority of their damage, where they win the majority of their tournaments, when they win the majority of their majors, right? We're in that run for Cam Young. I don't know if he's going to be an all-time great. I do know he's excellent right now. He's in that 2 to 3 year window that Patty was talking about. This is his time to win a major. His best chance that he's had and maybe will have. You don't know. Golf is fickle, right? I'm going to go ahead and just lay it. 12-1, 5 places. Cam Young. Let's get it done. Next bet. Brooks Koepka. 40-1 with 5 places. The big thing for me when I bet Koepka yesterday was his comments after his round on Saturday. Okay? Said he is enjoying the game once again, that he was falling in love with the game all over. Here's the thing. We know Koepka BS's on the mic all the time. But usually when he bullshits, he's under-promising so he can try to over-deliver, right? That's usually the way Koepka goes when he's on the mic and he's talking about himself. He's like, I went out to the range. I hit like 10 balls. You know, so I barely practiced before the major. Yeah, I just went out here, and he goes out and finishes 3rd or some shit, right? That's the type of bullshit that we expect from Koepka on the mic, right? This is different. This is actually propping his game up. That is why I believe him, right? That is why I believe him. His ball striking has been incredible this year, even this week in Myrtle, right? I think he's a couple of strokes back from the lead. Going into Sunday, he has a chance to win this event, okay? Now it sounds like not only is his ball striking money, now it sounds like the mental is there. He's having fun playing the game. He's enjoying the game of golf again. Having your mental space in a great vibe going into the major, we can't correlate that because we don't know, right? It's not something that we can judge before a major 99.9% of the time. But this is a different Koepka. Like, you don't see him rarely talking his game up like this. And I believe him. And I think he has a great, great chance. He loves the way Kerry Higgs sets up the PGA Championship. He's won 3 of these bitches.
Yeah.
Right? He's won 3 of these bitches. He's humbled himself, like we talked about. You know, he sees that, like, he's been asked out on these signature events, waiting, sitting there like this, chilling, like, please, someone with, we don't want to be like that no more. He's ready to get that win. He's ready mentally, I think, to get that big win. And I would not be shocked if it happens at a fucking major, because that's what Koepka does. He's the major man. And now that his mental is there with his game, watch the fuck out. And I think 40-1 is a hell of a number. I think 40-1 is a hell of a number right now, because I think he's going to compete. I think he's going to be there. I think when we see the reshift, at worst, it stays the same. Again, I don't think it's going to go down unless he shoots 82 today on Sunday, and I do not see that happening. Okay?
Brooks has more major wins than PGA wins.
Yep. My final bet for now, right? JJ Spawn, 66-1 with 5 places. Okay, coming in with solid form the last month or so. I really like his accuracy off the tee. I think he's 3rd this week in driving accuracy so far. And while he's not like considered long, dude can pop it on occasion. He was hitting 335, I saw yesterday, for his longest drive at Wells Fargo. So he can give it a pop, and he's accurate off the tee, right? His ball striking has been very good, as he's 10th in strokes gained ball striking in this field in the last 24 rounds. Again, he's going to be the type of guy where you want him to be good from 150 to 200, right? At this, he's very, very good from 150 to 200. I love the fact that over the last year, he has become a Sunday warrior, gaining over 2 strokes on the field in final rounds over the last 12 months. He's also gained almost 2 strokes on the field on very difficult courses the last 12 months. And of course, we know he can get it done on the big stage with his U.S. Open win last year. Now, I am going to add somebody else, but I am going to wait for the drift. This is the majors. There's going to be some drift on some guys, whether it be a Morikawa because people are worried about his injury, whether it be a Hovland because he's not playing his best, whether it's a Henley because he's not playing his best at the moment. There's going to be somebody, a Hatton, who I fucking love this week, right? Maybe because of Liv, no one's on him. His number can drift, and then you can get a little bit of that boost on Wednesday. So I'm going to complete my card on Wednesday with one more guy. But the card so far for this week is going to be Cam Young, 12-1 with 5 places. Brooks Koepka, 40-1 with 5 places. JJ Spawn, 66-1 with 5 places. I do not expect these numbers. If Mike's able to get this show out on Sunday, which I do expect him to do, and you're watching it on Sunday before the reshuffle on Monday, and these numbers are still available for these 3 guys, I'd probably take it. I'd probably take it, especially if we get this out before these 2 events end this afternoon. Byron, who are you betting this week?
You mentioned a couple guys that I'm going to be betting, Kenny. So I've already bet Colin Morikawa at 40-1 out there. I feel like that number is too good. There was also, I got a little baby boost on it, that I applied personally, but I will be recording it at 40-1. Number 1 in the course fit model. If you take a look at strokes gained putting for this venue on bent grass, we just mentioned, is Colin going to average 2.1 strokes on the greens this week like he has on bent? No, probably not. Maybe he can, but the putting at the Masters is what's doing a lot of the heavy lifting there as well, but he's also putted well at Philadelphia Cricket Club. In the last 24 rounds on bent, he's leading this field. So I love the fact that Colin, who typically ups his game around the greens and on the greens in majors, now gets a bent putting surface, which is easily his best surface. And included in that 2.1 strokes gained average is the Rocket Classic, where he lost, I think, over 4 strokes in one of the rounds. So if you remove that and make it 23 rounds of golf, that 2.1 gets, ramped up significantly a little bit as well. So I think Colin Morikawa, the way he hits his wedges, the way he keeps his ball in the fairway, major winner. I typically wouldn't be betting this guy, but he just won this year. He showed like he was pretty calm under the gun. The way he's putting can make a massive difference. He is one of the best wedge players in this field by a landslide.
And like I was talking about earlier, I think you can wait for Morikawa. I think the number will drift. I think people are going to be worried about his withdrawal from the last event, and then not playing this week, not playing the week before. I think that number can drift. If you can get 3 places at 50 plus, I think that's possible coming Wednesday with a boost on the book that I usually play, that I have played on along with DraftKings. I did forget one bet. I'm sorry. I do have a DraftKings future. 60-1, Justin Rose with 8 places. That number probably will get worse. That was when Justin was playing well a few months ago. So we'll see.
Yeah. So if you want to wait on Colin, wait on Colin. If you can find a nice 40 out there, maybe it drifts to 50 by the end of the week. I don't know. Again, I think he's been playing fine since, the back injuries like reared his head. He won top 10 bets at the Masters, with the back injury itself. So I love what he gets up to in majors. And then Justin Rose is 43-1 at DraftKings, Kenny. I don't know if that gets better or worse. I'm just going to bet it now at 43-1. There's other numbers out there that are in the 30s, so it could easily shrink. I don't know. I love the fact that he has won this tournament in the past and also lost to Keegan Bradley in a playoff the last time they played at the BMW Championship. Yeah, so he's one of my guys that unfortunately not going to mull out the greatest. He's like 24th in my micro model rankings. He's 24th in the overall rankings. Justin Rose in majors just lights his game on fire. It can be for the best or for the worst, right? So I think in the last 21 majors, he's finished inside of 16th half the time and outside 16th the other time. He's like missed cuts when he's not 16th or better. So Justin Rose just finished 3rd at the Masters. This guy is a major contender. He is now that Denny McCarthy's in the field. Is he in the field? I don't even know. But if Denny's in the field, Rose is going to be the second best putter in majors. If Denny's not in the field, he's the best putter in majors. Simple as that. Like strokes gained putting in majors. Justin Rose is, in my opinion, the best competitor, maybe outside of Scotty Scheffler, on the PGA Tour. Because when he gets into the mix, he wins golf tournaments. Unfortunately, he sucked up a little bit at Augusta the last little while, last month or so, finishing 3rd. But Rory had kind of run away and hid, so he was kind of chasing Rory down and burned too bright. Fantastic venue for him. Fantastic course history. He's a major guy. You can get 43-1 on Justin Rose. I know Jeff Feinberg says it's the worst bet on the board. Jeff Feinberg, audio, video, flip the bird there a little bit. I love Jeff, obviously. And I think he's going to be a fantastic bet this week. I love what Justin Rose can get up to at this golf course. I'm going to get in before the numbers move. Like you mentioned with Russell Henley, there's 50s out there. I'm going to be patient on that. I think Russell Henley gets a little disrespected in the betting market. And the course fit for Russell Henley is phenomenal. If he can find himself finding fairways, if he can hit those wedges and mid irons, fantastic, like Russell Henley does, he's going to do it wonderfully around this golf course. He's also a short game wizard now. The majority of his strokes come gaining on the putting and chipping side versus approach like we've typically seen from Russell, but he's also an absolute savage from 100 to 150, where he'll be hitting a couple wedges from this week as well. Just finished top 3 at the Masters, so he doesn't quite have a second place finish in a major, but he's got a 3rd place finish. So considering we're going to get maybe 50, 60-1 on a guy in a major who's finished 3rd, I'll take it. I need seconds from you, but I'll take a 3rd place anyway from Russell Henley. We haven't made that bet. I've only made the Rose and Colin Morikawa bets, but I'm definitely contemplating Russell Henley. And then I'm contemplating going back to the top of the board with either Cameron Young or Matt Fitzpatrick. Both grading out fantastic for me. Cameron Young, obviously top 4 in the model, top 4 in course fit. And that includes Scotty, Rory, Xander, John Rahm, all of those guys in this field. Cam Young, whatever he gets up to this Sunday, Jesus, is he going to go win the Players? Is he going to go win the Cadillac? Is he going to go win the Truist and then win the PGA Championship? I don't know. Almost ideally, I want him to finish second. You know, like just so that it's like not as much like trying to win his 4th tournament in the space of like 2 months and being a PGA Championship in his first major. Maybe winning just becomes a habit if he wins again at the Truist today, you know? And the Truist doesn't typically suit his game the very best because he's not super fantastic from the long iron range, although his irons have gotten much better. He's a very good wedge player, Kenny. So I think I love Cameron Young. He's got the distance to carry all of those bunkers like we've spoken about. He's got a second in at the Open Championship when Cam Smith won in 2022, so he's got that box checked. I'm all in on Cameron Young one way or another this week. We'll see how that goes. The top of the board, I've probably got a bet or two left to go there. So we'll see how that unfolds. Unfortunately, we're doing this on Sunday morning, so the odds and bets and things, we don't have as much out there. Luckily for you, on Tuesdays at 3 Eastern, Back 9 Bets will be on Mayo Media, where I'll be hosting my show. I may have a guest, I may not. I haven't decided yet, but I'll be going over every single bet. I'll be sharing my models with you guys on the screen, going deep into rabbit holes with people, having a blast doing it. Maybe have a couple beers while we're at it. Let's get it. So those are my bets. I've got 2 of them out there. Colin Morikawa, Justin Rose, 40-1, 43-1. Fantastic pedigree, fantastic course fits. Weird numbers. 40-1 in a major for both of those guys is interesting. So I'll likely be betting Colin top 20 as well, along with Xander top 20. I don't know what Xander's number is, 18.5-1 right now. Plus one. Oh, the PGA Championship has now placements out on DraftKings, actually. So Xander's plus 152 for a top 10. You'll probably be minus 125, minus 135-ish. Ty's paid in full for a top 20. I'm in. Xander Schauffele's only not finished top 20 in majors once at Quail fucking Hollow last year. Remember, Kenny, which is now shit the bed at twice again after finishing second in the 2 years before that. Majors, Xander, top 20. Boom. I've got the major top 20 bet for Xander in all 4 majors as well out there at 7-1. Laid 2 units on that. So I'm all in on Xander top 20 market. Let's get it. Let's dive into some DFS blood, sweat, and tears for this week's PGA Championship, Kenny Kim. We've got a 5K range. We've got Scotty Scheffler at 13.9. What are we doing at the top of the board?
So let's talk a little bit about strategy before we delve into the actual people. I mean, with the 5K range, sort of changes everything, right? Looking at the board right now, I think the 8K range is a dead zone. I don't see anybody above 12% as of right now. I mean, somebody can maybe gain steam as the week goes on. I also think popular lineup builds will be like 3 9K guys, 7K, a couple 7K guys, and a 5. I think that's going to be the standard build. I think if you go balanced, you're going to be extremely unique. Now, am I going to do that? Probably not. But I think that is going to be a way to be.
What do you mean by balanced?
10K, 9K, 8K, 7K, 6K, and a 5K or something like that. Or a 10K, 9K, 8K, 2 7Ks, and a 6 or something like that, right? Just a balanced build, right? Where you don't have more than 2 guys 9K and up, right? Okay. I think there's going to be a lot of 3 9K and ups here because of the 5K range. Now, I think that's the right build. Personally, because what we've seen at these big time events is the big names showing up, right? The leaderboard is just littered with guys 9K and above in the leaderboard. So I think that is a smart way to go, right? But again, you know, if you're trying to win a GPP with 89,000 people or 115,000 entries or some bullshit like that, right? You know, you got to try and be different a little bit. And so if we're going into the 10K range and above, my first big play.
2 seconds,
this-
Kenny. Sorry.
What?
If you click Scotty Scheffler first, you've got $7,300 for 5 remaining golfers. If you go Brooks, Colin, and Justin Rose, you've got $7,100 left for just 3 golfers. Remember, you've got 3 guys that are likely not going to even be in Scotty Scheffler lineups at their prices because it's hard to get. If you go Scotty Scheffler, Brooks Koepka, you've got $6,700 left for your 4 other names. So, like we've spoken about last week, if you're loading up on that 9K range, 10K range, those are names that aren't going to be in Scotty Scheffler lineups, which,
And so,
is
and here's
interesting.
the thing, like, let's look at this 10K range and above. Scotty's still going to get 25% ownership. He's still going to get that. Rory, probably going to get 15% or more, right? That's 40% standalone because there's not going to be Rory Scheffler lineups, all right? And that's 40% right there. Cam's going to be the highest owned. He's going to be probably 30% owned, right? There's not going to be many Cam, Scheffler, Cam, Rory lineups. That's 70% of lineups right there. They're going to have 3 of those guys, right? Game theory. Once again, like last week, when you play these big-time events with big-time fields, look for the lowest owned guy of maybe the top 7 or 8. Mike, hit the music. My hustler play of the week. It's going to be Jon Rahm at 10,400. Okay? We know the skill is there, right? He hasn't been playing that great at the Masters or at the Open Championship, but he had a 7th and an 8th place last year at the PGA Championship and the US Open, right? Both of those now, of course, are set up somewhat similarly when it comes down to it. Those were his 2 best finishes that we saw last year when it came to majors. We know he has skill. He's got all the DP World Tour stuff. All that stuff is behind him. Those questions aren't going to be answered. It's going to be strictly about the golf now and maybe a little bit about live, right? Whatever. I think because of the talent, because I think you can get him as the lowest owned guy in the first 7 guys, I'm going to make him my hustler play of the week. It's just what I'm going to do. I want to put him in the game theory lineup that I was talking about to start my lineup. And in that lineup, you don't have to avoid chalk, right? I'm 21st in the 55, and the $55 is not a single entry. The $55 has 7,000 entrants, and you can make 18 lineups, right? And so in that lineup that I have this week for the truest, Rattan's like 9%. Spawn is like 12%. JT is 14%, right? And Wrighton. I always pronounce his name wrong. Wrighton is 9%. Smalley is 14%. Oberg's 30% in there, right? So you don't necessarily need, you just pick the right chalk in here, right?
What is that total, Kenny? Less than 90% total ownership?
Percent, which is not like exceptionally low, right?
No.
Because I was a little bit wrong about JT. I thought he'd be, 8 to 10% or something like that. He ended up being like 14. But yeah, because of the 30% Oberg, that's why it was so high. But if you could just find that right piece of chalk, and chalk, at least one chalk is going to hit for the chalk, because these guys, they look like they're going to succeed going into the event. Fill out your game theory lineups with the lowest owned, highest price guy, your favorite chalk piece in the 9K range, and then just fill it out with guys you like going down, right? Maybe avoid the highest 2 guys owned and ownership projections in the 7K range and the 6K range. And then you're good to go, right? And I think that's a good way to make those lineups. So Rahm is my hustler play of the week. I think I'm fading the top 3 guys. Can they win? Of course. Can they win? Of course, right? But it's the majors. There's more 10K guys up here. You can't play everybody, right? And because I like the 3 guys over 9K approach, right, it's a lot easier to do with guys 10-2 and below, right? And so my first cash game cornerstone is going to be Cam Young, right? The floor is hot. Look at this start, the way that he's been playing here recently. The floor is hot. Like you said, he's long enough off the tee where he's going to be hitting a lot more wedges compared to everywhere else. His wedges are strong. Okay, you've seen this week. His wedges, pretty strong when he's able to hit them at Wells Fargo, though it's not as many. Probably going to hit more next week than he is this week, right? The lack of par 5, which has been a bugaboo for him. Now there's only 2, right? And he has the upside to win. Okay? So that's going to be first cash game cornerstone. Simple, right there. High floor, has the upside to win. Cam Young, first cash game cornerstone. Who are you going with in the 10K range?
Kenny, so you mentioned you think Rahm is going to be the lowest owned option in the 10K range?
I'm thinking because of the negative sentiment around him, the fact that he hasn't really done great in majors. People are going to click Rory. People are going to click Scheffler. I think people are going to click Bryson. All right? People are definitely, Cam Young is going to be the highest owned, right? And he's right underneath them. Xander with his exceptional play in majors. I think it's either going to be Morikawa or him.
Okay, interesting. Because I might play the music for the StatFish of the week. Just kidding. StatFish of the week for me is someone that's in the 10K range, 37th in the model, and it's Bryson DeChambeau. I mean, if you ask me, I think the ownership will be low if people are going off of course fit projections, because Bryson DeChambeau has thrived in majors because what did I mention earlier? Most majors are mash driver, hit a long iron. If you're hitting a long iron out of the rough, there's no one better to do it than Bryson DeChambeau. If you're hitting a long out of the fairway, there's no one much better than Bryson DeChambeau. I mean, there are better long iron players, but you get what I'm saying. Bryson DeChambeau in this field from 200 plus out the fairway, 23rd in the field. Bryson DeChambeau strokes gained from 150 to 200, 66th in the field. Bryson DeChambeau strokes gained from 100 to 150, 97th in the field. So he's outside the top 60 in strokes gained for every 50-yard bucket inside of 150. 100 to 150, even the inside of 200 buckets, he's 66th. So he's terrible out of there, out of the rough, inside 150. When he's pitching wedges as long as a fucking 6-iron, he's 95th in this field in strokes gained out of the rough, inside of 150. Bryson is easily going to have, like we mentioned with Rory, Bryson, Aldrich, those kind of guys, 9 wedges into golf holes this week. That is not Bryson's strength. He's going to make himself look like such an idiot coming out of the rough, or I'm going to make myself look like an idiot if he plays well, because I don't see Bryson doing shit around this golf course. He's terrible inside of 150, and like I mentioned, the nuances of this golf course, he's going to get pieced up by 1,000 wedges this week. You know, I don't know if Tupac just hits a couple jabs and shit like that, can you? If he goes in with a kill shot, this golf course is going to bleed Bryson dry the way it's going, because he's particularly bad out of the rough, and I don't see him finding millions of fairways this week either. He thrives on longer, bigger golf courses. So Bryson DeChambeau, StatFish of the week, if you can find a bet that's going to make him miss the cut, I'm in on that as well.
Yeah, so I mean, one thing I'll say about Bryson is, you know, he said the wrong things. He's going to be, you know, he's going to be
flustered as fuck.
You know, and in all honesty, I think Bryson is softer than Eyez with a chaser, right? I really do. If we're going Tupac lyrics, that's the lyric I'm going to go with Bryson. I think he's softer than Eyez with a chaser. When it comes down to it, if people are going to bug him about this stuff, he doesn't have that mental aspect where I'm going to use that to go and play and show these motherfuckers wrong. I don't believe he has that. And I am not a fan. I am not a fan. Everything that you pointed out, I believe. Now it's Bryson. He has talent. The one argument against would be he can hit that crazy drive, hit it 340 in the air, and he'll have a wedge, a small wedge compared to everybody else out of the thick rough. And if it's fast and firm and, everybody's missing the fairways, he'll have a decided advantage. But I don't think it's going to work for him this week. I don't. You got to make a stand somewhere. He's big. I like that play for the fade for Bryson. Hey, who else do you like in the 10K range?
Yeah, the 10, like him being the third priced option on this golf course just doesn't make sense to me. So I think the price might scare people off as well. If he's high owned, I love the STATFISH of the week. He'll still be 10% plus probably anyway. So you're at least getting your rake back if he misses the cut quite easily in that department. I think I might just take a stand on, this show you kind of give out picks on guys inside the top 10, the 10K range. If I'm playing 150 lineups this week, I'm probably just going to leave Bryson out of it. And I'm going to play all of these guys at 10,000 and above and sprinkle them in however I want because I'm no longer playing Bryson. There'll be some names that I'm not playing in the 9K range that are also very high owned. I'm trying to get as many different combinations of these guys at the top. I'm not going to split hairs. Everyone inside my model above $10,000 and above is sixth in the model or better. Bryson is the only one that's way out.
Who's your favorite? You got to at least tell people.
Sure, yeah. I mean, my favorite this week is going to probably be Rory McIlroy at 12-4 because if you take a look at what Rory gets up to, he's got all of those 200 plus shots from the par threes and on the par fives that he's going to dominate on. He's got all of those wedges inside 150 that he's actually much better over the last 12 months and this year. He's much better on approach from inside 150 than he's been for quite a while, but he's typically struggled from 150 to 200, where he may only have 2 to 3 or 4 shots every round from a range that he's kind of on average quite poor from. So he's eliminating a very weak part of his approach game just because of the way the golf course is going to play. He's 12-4. I think he's going to feel like a complete tosspot after leaving Quail Hollow, having played quite poorly. He's obviously going to storm up the leaderboard here on Sunday. We're doing this before he's even teed off. I expect Rory to do good things on a Sunday. It's the best strokes gain metric he has in the field on Sundays. So give me him in a big way. I don't know how much I'm in on John Rahm with the wedge-intensive venue as well, Kenny.
One thing I'll say about Rory, fading Rory and fading Scotty is extremely scary, right? Yeah. It's extremely scary, but I'm only making 5 lineups, right? So if I'm making 5 lineups and I roster Scotty or Rory, more than likely I'm not going to be able to roster another 9K guy with him, right? And I want to roster a bunch of as many 9K guys or above as possible. And I'll probably have like 16, 17 golfers that I'm going to use. I'll probably use 6 or 7 9K guys and above in there, mix them around and stuff like that. So I can at least get most of them in at least 2 lineups. So I can like pair them up differently with that. And I can have more of a wide variety of outcomes with those guys over to 9K. If I roster a Rory, if I roster a Scotty, that limits it, maybe even by just 1 or 2 guys, but that's still a high percentage when you're only rostering 7, right? If you go from 7 to 6, that's like 15%, right? I mean, that's a big loss.
Yeah.
So I that's why I'm fading Rory and Scotty. I like Rory a lot this week too, and so I'm worried about that. But from a numbers perspective, to get as many guys as top guys in my player pool as possible, the easiest way to do that is to eliminate Rory and eliminate Scott. I'm scared, but we'll see how that.
And we gave 2 very different answers to our player pool because we're playing 2 very different types of contests, right? Like when you're listening to this, however many contests you enter into, you got to apply what we're saying to what your situation is, right? Like if Kenny's only playing a limited amount of guys, those are his favorites. You can core around them, but you can increase your player pool a little bit because there's, if you're multi-maxing, that kind of stuff. So I figured I'd mention that to you guys, but you are right, Kenny, like trying to find the right combination for Scotty lineups at 13-9 is super difficult in just 5 lineups, right? So even if you went all Scotty, trying to find that combination just with 5 lineups is very difficult because you have to going to lean on some really unreliable names down at the bottom. You've only got $7,300 left after you click his name.
I think this is easier this week. because of the
Easier
5K.
this week.
It's definitely
Yes.
easier to do. And I talked about that last week with Scotty. If you could get 6 with Scotty, you're in a very, very good position. Because, I mean, the majority of the times you're going to get low 66%. And if you're only competing with 10% of people that got 66 and you have Scotty in your 66, you're going to have an advantage.
Amen. Amen. All righty then. Let's dive into the $9,000 range, which is spearheaded by Colin Morikawa at $9,900. And we've got Patrick Reed sitting at $9,000 at the bottom of the 9K range. There's some fun names in this range, Kenny Kim. I know you said you're a big fan of this range because you're going to smear your lineups with multiple of them. Were you smearing?
There's 3 guys that I love. 2 guys I love in GPPs, and 2 guys I love in cash. My second cash game cornerstone is going to be Oberg. Again, the Cam Young Oberg combo, I've been doing that a lot. And here's the thing when it comes to cash. Oberg is my second option. High floor, outside chance away.
Good second click.
At least he can contend, right?
Yeah.
When it comes down to it. But very, very high floor. I think 4 out of his last 5 events, he's finished top 5. He's in 17th right now going into Sunday at the Truist. He'll probably get a top 10 because he's chasing. The form is there. The floor is absolutely there. He's second in my model behind Cam Young. I got 1 and 2 in my model. Pretty simple. I'm not betting him. But as the second guy in your cash lineup, I love it. Give me Oberg. Second cash game cornerstone, third cash game cornerstone. Not shocking. Brooks Koepka, $9,300. Again, a major guru who goes out there, who's showing his stuff right now. Again, floor, not as high as the other 2, but he doesn't miss many major cuts, right? And the way that he's playing right now, I think the winning upside is obviously there. So those 3 guys. So obviously, I'm going someone super low in the 5K range as my 4th cash game cornerstone. I'll give out the entire lineup. I got 2 guys in the 7K, at least 1 guy in the 7K. I know I'm playing. We already talked about him. And I have another guy that I'm looking at, but I have options. And we'll talk about those when we get to the 7K range. GPP-wise, I love Tommy Fleetwood. What we've seen from Tommy, again, he could be your second guy in your lineup. You can go Cam Young, Tommy. You can go Morikawa, Tommy, right? And stuff like that. His iron game has been struggling a little bit, but he found something Sunday at Cadillac. Sunday at Cadillac, he had a spike round, and he's brought that over to what we're seeing at the Truist this week. So it seems like his game has been getting there, and he's leading up to where he needs to be. He plays well on difficult courses. Bent grass, his best putting surface. Okay? So give me Fleetwood in GPPs. I absolutely love Tyrrell Hatton at $9,000 even this week. The guy has been a mini Xander Schauffele when it comes to majors. He's been playing exceptionally well, not just at the Open Championship, but in the United States as well, at the Masters, at the U.S. Open. He's had top 10 finishes, right? The guy has been one of the few live players who has gone out and done his thing in live and then has gotten better when he's played at majors, whatever the hell he's doing to prepare for majors. He is doing it well. Give me Tyrrell Hatton at $9,000 in GPPs. Who do you like, brother?
$9,100, Kenny. I'm just saving you from the commenters. Don't stress there, people. It's just $100. You know, it's all good. It's not even a true $100 out there. So it's not a big deal. I'm actually going to be fading Ludwig. You know, I like to use major pedigree to determine how you're going to play in majors. Ludwig has had 2 good finishes at the Masters. That's it. Those are his 2 top 10s, one of his top 5s. You know, like now you got to be early on someone who's playing badly in majors, because at some point they may play well, like Tyrrell Hatton, for instance, Wako Neiman. But it served me well over the years fading Wako Neiman in majors, because majors are a very mental situation, because there's nothing. These guys play difficult golf course. They play major conditions at Bay Hill. They play major conditions at the Valspar kind of stuff. I think Ludwig, like you mentioned, very fragile under the gun. I don't know how he got his car across the line both times he's won on the PGA Tour already. He managed to do it somehow, and one of them was from the front of the pack. But that was his first win. Now you realize what the fuck you're up to on the PGA Tour, and you're deer in headlights. So I think in majors, I'm going to wait until he proves me otherwise, and the PGA Championship, I think he's missed 2 cuts now in the PGA Championship in a row. So
that's a good way to think about it when it comes to GPPs. I don't mind the fade in GPPs, but I think his floor is just too high when it comes for cash. The way
and
right now,
sorry,
cash, I think he makes more sense in GPPs. I think you are correct. I think it makes more sense in cash than GPPs because of the high floor. I don't hate the way you're thinking.
And to add on to that, I'd probably go Colin Morikawa over Ludwig when it comes to cash game, because he's inside the top 20.
I would go Fleetwood. I would go Fleetwood over Oberg if you're not a fan. Morikawa is still too worried about this back.
Okay. Either way, Colin's finishing top 20 in 2 of every 3 majors. So you're getting that like a massively high floor from Colin in that department.
I was thinking Victor. I think you talked me in the Colin. I was thinking Victor, but I think you have talked me in the Colin instead of Hovland this week. Because Hovland, I'm just trying to be too different. I think it's smart. I think you're correct. I think you've talked me in the Morikawa as a GPP play this week.
Top 5s in majors since 2021. Scotty, 43%. Rory, 33%. Colin Morikawa, 29% of the time. 3 of every 10 majors, Colin's inside the top 5. That is very difficult to do in major conditions, and he's doing it fantastically. So I'm all in on Colin, like we've spoken about. I'm glad that you're on board as well, Kenny. Some other names. I'll be fading Justin Thomas in the 9K range, because Justin Thomas just does not get the golf ball in the fairway enough. If you take a look at what JT gets up to in majors off the tee, if you just remember what happened on Saturday at Quail Hollow, the first part of that golf course was relatively passive, and the moment he got to the par 4 14th, snap hooked a drive into the water. Then the next par 5, he hit his golf ball into the bunker, so he couldn't get all the way to the green. And then the par 3 came, he made a birdie, I think, because he didn't have to hit a driver. He hit an iron only. And then on 18, he hit a bad drive to the right-hand side, right up against the tree, resulting in a bogey. So the 4 5s he made down the stretch at Quail Hollow were all because of a bad drive. And he is pathetic when it comes to driving the golf ball in majors. He's like losing strokes perennially. And Justin Thomas only has 3 top 5s in majors in his entire career. So he's just a bad major performer. He's playing well right now, and I think he can get steamed because he's at the top of leaderboards and things like that. But he's been playing well his entire career and just never finished top 5 in majors. As we speak here, Kenny's dropping ash on his shirt. So that's a perfect omen for Justin Thomas to kind of burn your lineups to pieces while you're trying to smoke his reefer. So JT, $9,400, Fade City. When it comes to someone that's grading out very nicely, it's Hideki Matsuyama. Fantastic out the rough with the wedge. Fantastic 200 plus out the fairway. Horrible driver of the golf ball as well. But if you're looking at someone who makes cuts in majors, Hideki Matsuyama's only missed 1 major cut in majors. And it was Quail Hollow, which is kind of funny to think about. And Quail Hollow, Hideki's DFL right now, like right at the bottom of the leaderboard. He does not like that golf course. So we'll see what Hideki Matsuyama gets up to. Tommy Fleetwood. Love Tommy Fleetwood in this range as well, along with Justin Rose. I feel like Justin Rose is a viable option. And then Victor Hovland. When it comes to Victor, he finishes inside the top 5 in a major once a year. He's missed it at the Masters. I don't think he's had a top 5 at the Masters. So I'll be playing Victor Hovland in all 3 majors for the rest of the year because hopefully one of them is a top 5. He doesn't grade out the greatest, but in majors, he finishes top 5 quite routinely. He's got a 19% top 5 rate in majors. So give me Victor Hovland at $9,600. I'm kind of out on Tyrrell, Justin, and Brooks, which is weird to say, but we'll see. Brooks gives me FOMO, but again, I don't know. What's Brooks's putting on Bermuda, Kenny? I don't think it's Bermuda's his best surface, obviously, and then bent, not so great, So I think that I could limit his upside a little bit for me, given the fact that we're on bent now versus what's Myrtle? Myrtle Classic, one flight is Bermuda as well, right on the East Coast. So I think that's one thing that I'm kind of out on for Brooksy. Enough
Bent,
rambling from me.
About even. Bent's his second best surface outside of Bermuda, but he's basically even. He's 0.
Yeah. Now it's a major. Maybe he ramps up his game again, but we haven't seen him really putt well in majors in quite a while. So we'll see what happens there. Patrick Reed, honorable mention as we get out of the $9,000 range. He ranks 15th for me. One of the guys that won't be able to dismantle this place with distance, but he can absolutely keep it in play. So again, I'm giving you 150 max player pool situation. I know I rattled off a bunch of names, but there's a bunch of fades that I've also given you that would be quite popular this week. $8,000, Kenny. What are we getting up to? Patrick Cantley.
I don't think I'm going to play anybody, but you have to, pick somebody. And honestly, you could win a GPP if one of these AK guys, you roster him and he does well, because I think it's going to be an absolute dead zone. I think I'm not the only person thinking the way that I'm thinking. And I don't know if you'll see anyone above 12% in the AK zone. So this could be where you win it, right? I don't know if I have the balls to be. I just don't like anybody. But people that could catch my eye, Henley, that you're talking about, with the short game, with his iron game hasn't been that excellent, right? But he hits enough fairways and stuff like that, and he came in 3rd in a major just recently. He can step his game up. He's been strong. He's had a bunch of top 5s in majors in the last couple of years. He had quite a few. Yeah. It's not just at least top 6s, I think.
30% top 10 rate in majors, Russell Henley.
Yeah. So I think that's someone that you can look at here. I'm going to fade Goddard. I think with his round on Saturday, I think he might gain some popularity. I don't really like Goddard on courses that have a good amount of dog legs. I think if it's straight ahead and he can hit it low and hit that burner, you know what I'm saying? Just have it roll out there on a straight, course. I think that's always better for him. I think we'll see as his career progresses, but that's just what I get from him now. So no Goddard for me. Bobby Mack grades out horribly, right? Okay. But I think that when it comes to majors and it's a grinding out type of course, he doesn't make many mistakes that often. His bogey avoidance is pretty strong. I think it's top 10 in this field in the last 24 rounds. And when you look at how bad his numbers are in the last 24 rounds, to be top 10 in bogey avoidance in those same 24 rounds, pretty fucking remarkable, right? He knows how to avoid those mistakes and the big numbers, and that really helps in majors. So I like Bobby Mack in this. Now, am I going to play any of these guys? I don't know. But for me, those are the 3 guys that I think that you can play with upside that might win you a GPP this week.
Let's add Shane Lowry and Sam Burns to that mix. Those 5 guys, because Sam Burns on bent, it's Bermuda Burns, right? That's the myth. But we've seen now over the last 16 months, it's bent Burns.
Also,
Burns is bent.
Burns on tough courses is a thing.
Yeah.
Is a thing.
Yeah. He gains 1.8 strokes in hellish conditions when scoring averages are over par. So Sam Burns just showed up at a previous major, right? Like the US Open last year.
He's had a couple where he's been in it.
He's fucking around to try and find out right now. And I've typically, remember, he was part of the Butterfish bet when we had Sam Burns and Minwoo Lee at what the hell is that golf course now? The US Open in 2024. It starts with a P. Whatever, not Pinehurst. There we go. Thank you. So Sam Burns at that price, Shane Lowry at $8,500.
Shout out to John, the van driver at Pinehurst. When I went to Pinehurst, the dude was great. Because in Pinehurst, when you go to the resort, there's like no Ubers. It's out in bumfuck. So they have these drivers where you just like meet a driver at the beginning. Like this dude was basically predatory. Like he saw a big ass group of 12 of us or 10 of us driving to wherever the fuck, I think at the airport or wherever the fuck we were. And he followed us all the way to our Airbnb. We stayed at Caddyshack 1 and Caddyshack 2, which are very, very popular places to stay at Pinehurst. Followed us there because he knew he could just look at us like we're gonna make some money.
Tourists.
He did. He took us everywhere for the week, the bars, the strip clubs. He was there in 10 minutes. Shout out John. If you ever go to Pinehurst and you need a rec for a ride, hit me, DM me. I have his number. I'll go out there. You just give him $100 tip on the first ride, and he will be by your side every fucking time you need a ride. So when you go to Pinehurst, hit me up, DM me. I'll give you his info.
Let's go. I love that, Kenny. By the way, I think John's probably retired after your guys' weekend there. So
actually,
you might have to come out of retirement.
Guess where we're going this year? We are going to Green Bay, Wisconsin for our trip auction draft. This year, we're going to be staying about 2 blocks from the stadium. We're going to be trying to go to a preseason game at Lambeau. And then I think we're going to be playing golf at Thornberry. So for all you Wisconsinites out there, if you got any other recommendations, hit me up.
Let's go. We're going to try and also make it out to Canada. I have got a scheduling nightmare going on, but I'm working my apps. It's Mother's Day. I'm going to spoil the shit out of her today, try and figure out a way for me to get to Canada, because being in Canada 5 weeks before your baby's on the way, I did that for the Montreal President's Cup, and it was pushing it. You don't want to be pushing it when your wife's pushing it. You want to be there. So we're working our best.
Make sure to tell them, dear mama, you are appreciated.
Amen. Amen. Mama,
we
love you lots.
Yep.
Speaking of mama, Sepp Straka, top 20 in the model, $8,000 flat. Second place finish at the Open Championship a couple years ago. He's got that situation going. Fourth place at the Cadillac 2 weeks ago as well. Kenny.
The problem I have with Sepp Straka, he really doesn't have any ambitions as a driver. More Tupac. You guys don't even know that one. That's one of my favorite Tupac songs. Ambitions as a rider. You guys don't know that? And I don't think we will picture him rolling as a winner when it comes to this week at the PGA Championship. Byron, we should do a contest. If you can name all the Tupac references that I've come through this week, we should give people a month of your Patreon.
Sure. You can go back and listen to all of it, because I don't even know half the shit you're saying. I'm horrible with lyrics. Now that we're singing freaking Disney songs to Mini Maniac, I've realized I'm very bad with lyrics. I don't know.
They don't listen to Tupac in
no Tupac. So it's Frozen and Elsa for me versus Tupac for you, Kenny. So yes, go back now, people. I mean, what are we now? Almost 2 hours into the show. Go back and listen to 2 hours again and find all the Tupac references for a free month in the Model Maniac Patreon. Use code PGA26 for 50% off if you just want to get in on your own without having to listen to us again for 2 more hours and finding every Tupac reference. But neither here nor there. Shout out to Kenny on the Tupac stuff, always bringing the heat to the show. I love Sepp Straka on approach. It makes a lot of sense for him.
So we're going into the 7K range, Byron. Byron, when it comes to the 7K range, how do you want it? How do you feel?
I feel like Siwoo Kim is a fantastic course fit at 8th in the model. You've got a top 10 in the model down in the 7K range. You play that man. We've got a 3rd at the RBC Heritage, a 4th at the Cadillac, and he absolutely buried me this week at Quail, but it's okay. You know, we'll just let that be. He's been playing fantastic golf. The major pedigree for Siwoo, but tricky, but I do fancy the course fit for him. You know, he's one of the accuracy guys that's going to dial it in a lot. Kenny, go for it. Harris English, $7,200. Love him.
I like Siwoo. This is where he should be priced.
Yes.
Like the 9,000 Siwoo, the 24-1 Siwoo. No. 7,900 Siwoo. I will take it. The game's been there. His ball striking's been there. His iron game is there. He's accurate off the tee. Right. His short game is solid. I like Siwoo this week. JJ Spawn is in my cash lineup for this week. Again, I think he has a high floor, and I think he has the upside to do well this week. We talked about JJ. I love JJ Spawn this week. He is in my cash lineup. Other guy right now in my cash lineup at $7,300 is Kurt Kitayama, right? Had a good bunch of finishes here in a row, in the top 10 right now at Truist, going into the final round. Has had a top 5 at a PGA Championship before, right? Give me Kitayama also right now in my cash lineup. That could change. Kitayama could be adjusted because there's other options here that I like when it comes to Woodland, when it comes to English. Like, it's going to be one of those 3 guys that I'm going to make for my 5th play in my cash lineup. I like Bhatia this week. I don't think the course is too long for him. I like the way he shapes his shots a lot. He can go both ways. I think it's going to help him a lot this week with the dog legs. He's very, very good putting from bent. I liked Akshay this week a lot. Who do you like in this 7K range down below?
Harris English, 84% made cut rate in majors. And that includes when he had his hip injury in 2022 and 2023 when he was missing cuts in majors. So if you take a look at his major pedigree when he's not hurt, it's literally almost like 100% made cut rate. It's insane what he gets up to in majors over the last little while. So Harris English, not the greatest course fit, but again, at $7,200, you just need him to kind of make the cut, find a round of golf that's going to get him inside the top 20, like 1 in every 3 majors. Let's go Harris English. You know, I think you absolutely can go in that department. Corey Connors finishing inside the top 10 in majors 24% of the time. So you're getting Corey Connors at $7,900, 43% of the time inside the top 20 for Corey Connors. You know, I think this is a very nice course fit for him when it comes to just ropey-dopey draws down the middle of the fairway, hit the wedge on there, make your 2-putt par, kind of get away from the golf course as you go. Let's see what Corey Connors can do. You mentioned Kurt Kitayama, Gary Woodland, Harris English. I like those names. Keegan Bradley is someone that I fancy. We get a major in, it's Pennsylvania. It's not quite Boston, but it's East Coast. You know, he's going to feel like he's part of the nation over there. He's one of the most horrific Ryder Cup captains ever, but I think people are going to still be chanting USA, you know, even regardless. Those are Eagles fans. They're not Jets fans and Giants fans that we had at Bethpage. We got Eagles fans who know what it's like to win, supporting Keegan out there. So I think the major track record is fine inside the top 30 half the time, and won this golf course versus Justin Rose at the BMW Championship. So obviously makes a lot of sense here. 34th in the micro model ranking course fit situation. He's my guy. 6K range, Kenny. Cam Smith, Alex Noren, Pearson Coody, Ryan Gerard, Rio Hatsatane. So Rio Hatsatane for me, it makes a lot of sense. When it comes to ball striking, the iron play at this golf course, he's one of the more balanced guys on approach throughout the bag. And he's $6,400. He grades out 29th for me in this field. So that just makes a lot of sense at $6,400. Ryan Gerard is a 9th ranked course fit option. He is fantastic through the bag. Long irons, mid irons, wedges, drives the ball well. Let's see what he can get up to. Also has an 8th place finish at last year's PGA Championship, does Ryan Gerard. He's been playing kind of poor the last little while, but, is $6,400. You're not going to be rostering millions of Ryan Gerards in your lineups. I think he does give you some nice salary relief. And then Alex Smalley, Kenny, just ball strikes his golf course to pieces at $6,100. Your turn.
Give me Nikolai Hobag over at $6,500. Coming in really strong showing here this week. He's had a runner-up here a few weeks ago. He's had a top 10 in a major before in the last, 2 years.
17% top 20 rate, no top 10s yet.
So he's had the top 20s. So I like Højgaard, Nikolai at $6,500. Wrighton at 62. I mean, the guy's just playing excellent golf. I mean, you just got to ride the wave when it comes to Wrighton. He's playing well, of course, this week. Those are two of the guys that I fancy. I like your Hitsune call a lot down here, but it's going to be a lot of Højgaard. It's going to be a lot of Wrighton down here in the 6K range. Sort of interested in Thorpe, but I don't know if his game is major ready yet. But he's interesting at 6K. I'm not sure if I'm going to pull the trigger.
Whose game is major ready in the $6,000 range, Kenny?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Højgaard is probably your best bet. Maybe Gerard, like you're saying, yeah. Not me. Harmon.
Maybe it's some Thomas Dietrich, he's got a top 5 in a major. So, these are all guys that not a lot of top 5s in majors if I'm scrolling through the 6K range. Taylor Pendrith has a top 5. Ooh, Brian Harmon. He's $6,800, and I think this is a very nice course fit for Brian Harmon.
Yeah, I've been
He's
looking
not going to get left in the dust at all when it comes to distance. He can be the accuracy short game guy that we're looking at there, and obviously an open champion, so he knows how to win majors, and he's inside the top 10, 14% of his starts at $6,800. Worth a gamble, this is the fantasy golf degenerates. Go play the man. So we'll see what he gets up to there. I want to go into the 5K range with you, Kenny Kim, starting with Ryan Fox, $5,900 Alex Fitzpatrick. What does his ownership come in at this week, Kenny?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be high. It could be a fade, but the guy's playing unbelievable golf.
He is.
I didn't think he'd be able to do what he's doing this week against the best in the world. And he is on a tough course. On a course they played the PGA Championship last year. It's going to be difficult to fade here. But if he's like 14% or some crazy shit like that, then maybe. But I don't think so. Because there's so many options down here in the 5 and 6 range. I think it might be spread out. We'll see. It's definitely risky. If you want to avoid that risk, give me Nick Taylor. Give me Nick Taylor at $5,800. Another guy, proven winner, right? Who wins a lot. He had a chance to place this week. I think he's 12th going into Sunday at the Truist. Give me a little bit of Nick Taylor down here. Matt McCarty is going to be my final cash game cornerstone. I'm just going based upon form. 3 straight top 25s. He's in a top 10 going this week. If he finishes top 10, I have 3 straight top 15s going into this week at $5,500 to get the rest of the lineup that I have, to get a Cam Young, Oberg, Koepka, JJ Spawn, and maybe Kitayama. Have those 5 guys and then have McCarty as the punt to hopefully, I just wanted to make the cut. And like you said earlier, top 10 best putter on bent the last 12 months. You take his form, you take that. I'm going to go ahead and use him as my cash game cornerstone. So my cash game cornerstones for this week, Cam Young at 10,200. Oberg at 9,800, I think, this week. Am I right? 9,800. Koepka at 9,300. Matt McCarty at $5,500. Still leaves you $15,000, of course, to fill out the rest of your lineup. And I'm filling it out right now with JJ Spawn and Kurt Kitayama. Haotong Lee at 6,500, a guy who's had the 36-hole lead at a PGA Championship before he went out and tired himself out with a 7-hour range session. That's another guy that you could take a peek at in the 5K range. Jordan Smith, top 20 in my model at $5,300 or whatever his price is. Another guy that you could take a look at. Stats look very, very good. Can he get it done in majors? We'll see. But this is more like a DP World course than it is like a U.S. Open course that we normally see, where it's just 7,800 yards and you got to pound it, right? A little bit more thought process to this, and I like the Euros for that. Give me a little bit of Jordan Smith at $5,300. Who do you like?
I like Billy Horschel at $5,500. Got a top 5. He's one of these guys that not playing the greatest golf. He's $5,500, people. Like this guy's like 6K flat if you're playing a normal DFS contest. I think he can get some stuff taken care of. You mentioned Haotong Lee. He's got a top 5 in a major. You don't just have that stuff here in this range. When he hangs around, he hangs around, especially on the driving range in the middle of the major. So I think that makes a lot of sense at this price tag. And then I'm going to go with Brian Campbell as well. If you take a look at Brian Campbell's situation, he's, outside of Colin Morikawa, top of the pack there with coming to bent putting surfaces at $5,500. He's also got a top 30 at this year's Masters, which is bent surface on the putting green. So is the Masters a perfect fit for Brian Campbell? Not. It's probably the worst golf course for Brian Campbell. If it was Bermuda greens, it's probably even the worst golf course. But we get bent greens, we get a lot of mid irons and wedges. Brian Campbell's going to not necessarily get left that much in the dust this week when it comes to driving off the tee. If he can just keep it remotely on the planet, $5,500. Okay, there's problems with these people in this range. There's massive issues, but you can get it done in the situation. Emiliano Grillo, he's finished inside the top 10 in a major. He's got a 9% top 10 rate over there. He plays hard conditions very, very well. He's $5,300. And then Michael Block. I know it sounds weird to say, but the man's a gamer when it comes to, there's hype, obviously. I see Mike smirking at me, but it takes a Mike to know a Mike, and he knows what a gamer Michael Block is. And PGA Championship, this is his stuff, Blocky fever. It's back again. He qualified legit for this tournament again and was hitting some saucy sizzlers out there. So $5,200, I feel like on a shorter golf course, Michael Block can be of substance to you.
Michael better not pull up on my block. You know what I'm saying, dog?
Is that another Tupac?
That's Mike's Tupac reference. That's Mike's Tupac. Mic drop right there.
The only thing I know about Tupac is didn't he die and have like a hologram of himself or something? Like, what's the hologram? Yeah, I think that's the only thing I know about Tupac is some hologram situation.
Got murdered, basically by P. Diddy.
Okay. So what's the hologram part?
When he died, they came out with a hologram at Coachella.
Yeah, it was like a big concert, and they had like a recreation hologram. It was actually pretty cool for the time.
Let's go. For the time, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of time, about done with the show. Kenny, what are we doing in the one and done streets this week?
Definitely playing Hatton. Playing Hatton. I think I'm playing Hatton in Kenya.
I've played Cam Young already. I've played Fitz already. I am going to probably play Colin Morikawa in one and done this week. I think it's going to be a leverage spot. I'm saving Scotty for the Memorial at Murfield. And we've got 2 more majors after this. I'm going to be using Xander at the US Open, I think. I need Xander to get his game back a little bit better before I pull the trigger in a major. But I will be using Xander in one of my next 2 majors for sure. Went with Rory this week at Quail. We'll see how much of a backdoor he can get back in there. But that was a terrible Saturday for my hopes of going 3 one-and-dones in a row. So the drive for 5 was not alive, Kenny. If you remember the last preview for the major we did on a Sunday when the Valero was going on in the rain. All right, friends. You can find me at the Model Maniac on X. I'll be pumping that street with screenshots like you've seen over here, like you cannot imagine. Jump into the Model Maniac Patreon. Use code PGA26 to get yourself 50% off the first month over there. FGD, when you're signing up for a first time at DraftKings, we'd really appreciate you to do that. I was not joking about them canceling the show forever if you do not sign up right now with code FGD at DraftKings if you're a first time depositor. I am joking, but I wasn't. And it's Mother's Day. Shout out, Caitlin. I love you so much, baby. You are the best mother in the whole wide world. Mini Maniac number 2 on the way in September. I can't wait to be number 2 dad there. Can he get us the hell out of here?
I feel real good about this week. I really do. Find me on X at KendoVT. My final card will be there. Any adjustments, any cool tidbits that I learned for the week, make sure you follow me. I think it's going to be a great week. Hopefully you can picture me rolling in my 500 Benz. Let's win some motherfucking money. Degen Nation.